recording.
My name is Hannah. Today is May 8th, 2019, and I am interviewing CharlieCravens at the Newkirk Public Library. What motivated you to join the military?
I was working at the packing house in Ark City. It was just my first real job, and I didn't much care for it. I worked on the night dock, and they made me work nights, and I'm 18 years old, and I didn't need to be working nights. So a friend of mine, I won't mention his name, said he was going to join the military and get in the air defense, and I might be a chance of getting out of Vietnam. This is 1969. So just so happened at that particular time I'd lost my wallet and my draft card. So I went and got my draft card renewed, and I asked the lady, when do you think I'll be drafted? They said probably in May. This was the last of March, the first part of April. I went right down to the recruiter's office. I said, how can I get out of Vietnam? He said, well, you have to join for 4 years, have a high school education, and go to Key West, Florida for a year. Well, I spent 26 months in Key West, Florida. I didn't have to go to Vietnam, thank God. I went to Korea from Florida. But that's why I joined, because basically I didn't care to go to Vietnam.
Tell me a little about your time in basic training.
I took my basic training at Fort Polk, Louisiana. It was kind of tough, but I was in real good shape. It was only been a year since I graduated from high school, and I hadn't got all this, and I smoked, but that didn't bother me. So it was. I learned a lot. Most of my unit went to Tigerland in Fort Polk. They were training for Vietnam. I went to Key West, Florida. Actually, I went to Fort Bliss before that, and then I went to Key West, Florida.
What was your primary job after training?
I went to Fort Bliss for Hawk Missile Training, HAWK. It stands for Homing All the Way Killer. The whole 10 years, 1 month, 27 days I was in the Army, I was in Hawk missiles. And that's what I did. I went to Key West, Korea, Germany, Fort Bliss, Homestead, Florida. I like the military.
Where did you serve the majority of time in service?
About half my time was overseas and half my time was in the States. So I spent 37 months and 4 days in Germany, where my son was born.
What rank are you most proud to have earned, and why?
I made Staff Sergeant E6. At one time, I was one of the youngest E6s in the Army. Before I got out, I was one of the older E4s, but that's a different story. And I worked as in an E7 slot in Germany for about a year, and I was very proud to have done that.
Which medals or citations are you most honored to have received, and why?
I got the National Defense Ribbon, the Korea Defense Ribbon. Probably one I'm most honored to have gotten was the Army Commendation Medal I got from Homestead, Florida. I was the training NCO there. I ordered all the magazines and did all the training schedules there, and I was pretty proud to have done that. I took typing in high school here, so I got that job because I could type.
Tell me about some of the special people you met.
Probably one of my most memorable people was my platoon sergeant the first time I went to Korea. I spent 2 tours over there. He was an E7, which is Sergeant First Class, black guy from Arkansas. And being raised in Newkirk, yes, I knew black people and associated with them because we did sports. But as far as really understanding or spending a lot of time with black people in Newkirk, you just didn't do that at the time. 1968, 69, or in the 60s. Anyway, he was my mentor. He was one of the finest men I ever met.
What was the best and worst military food you were served, and why?
Probably the best food I ate in the military was in Germany. Every Friday we would have a special meal of Oriental, Mexican, or some sort of even American food. and it was very good. And most of the food I got in the military was good, just sometimes the cooks didn't know how to cook it. But probably the worst food I had was in basic training, because we had to hurry through there, and I'd go through you go through the mess hall, and they'd say, put it in your mouth here and eat it outside. So I don't know what it tastes like, really.
Tell me a funny story you experienced that could only happen in the military.
It wasn't funny at the time, but as I look back on it, it was very funny. A couple of things. As I said, in the basic training, we go through the line there. They'd say, how do you want your eggs? I said, I want mine over medium. So they'd scramble them up and hand them to me. Is that medium enough? And then another time when I came home on mid-tour leave. It wasn't funny at the time. I came home on mid-tour leave. My father had open heart surgery, so I was on my way back to Germany, and then South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina. I was waiting to get on the plane, and I'm sitting out there waiting, and they had a person that outranked me came up to me and told me I needed to get a haircut. I had $2 in my pocket, and at that time, haircut was $1.75, and I tried to explain to him I was almost broke. He said I couldn't get on the plane unless I got a haircut. Now, at that time, it wasn't funny, but I look back on it, yeah, it's pretty funny.
Were you deployed overseas, and if so, where and for what?
Well, I was in Hawk Missiles. I spent my first overseas tour in south of Seoul in Namyang, Korea. And then my second time was in Baumholder, Germany. I spent over 37 months there. And then I went back to Korea. This was my last tour of duty in the military. Was in a place called Yeonjigo, Korea, which is 5 kilometers from the DMZ.
How many years total did you serve?
10 years, 1 month, and 27 days.
Wow.
I would have made it a career. I had intended to make it a career. But my life got a little bit sideways when I got a divorce, and I decided I just didn't need it anymore. It was one of the dumbest mistakes I've ever made.
What was most demanding part about your deployment?
Being away from my family.
How does your military experience affect your life today?
Because of it, this is going on my 6th year as a VFW post commander in Ark City, and my 3rd tour as the 3rd District of Kansas VFW commander, and it's being able to help other veterans it's a tremendous thing for me. So I do that a lot. As I said, we do military honors for deceased veterans. That's one of the things we do.
And what was your job after you got out of the service?
I opened up the only bar in Newkirk. 6 days after I got out of the military.
Wow.
My brother Ronnie Forbeck and I opened the Charron Lounge. And alcohol and cigarettes, the 2 cheapest things you can get in the military, and I didn't need to be owning a bar. So I lasted about 4 months there, but my brother still had it when he passed away after 38 years. And then I went to welding school and machinist school, and I welded for about 30 years.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking the questions.
And thank you for your service.
Thank you. I was honored to do it.